Hey Half-Life fans, welcome back to the channel. I made some videos recently, one examining the layout of a portion of Black Mesa from a 2D perspective, and another showcasing how I connected playable areas of Half-Life and Opposing Force. An overwhelming number of my viewers expressed how they would love to see one big map of Black Mesa, connecting all of the main GoldSrc games together. Since I love a good challenge, I thought I would attempt this project in 3D. You guys recommended a few programs out there that have already endeavored to stitch together all of the Half-Life 1 maps in a single 3D rendering. OpenSrc for the Half-Life source levels and HalfMapper for the original game. Being a lover of GoldSrc, I chose HalfMapper by the developer GoldSrc. The goal is to compile one 3D rendered map connecting Half-Life, Opposing Force, Blueshift, and Decay based on their intersecting areas. For example, in Opposing Force, Adrian Shepard passes through areas of the Black Mesa transit system that Gordon sees, and the same happens with Calhoun in Blueshift. For the sake of this project, the Zen chapters will not be included, as we just want to see what the layout of Black Mesa looks like. Uplink and the Hazard course will also not be included. Also, we'll ignore any discussion regarding whether or not the Gearbox games are canon. I think we can save that for another channel. So Phase 1 is to flesh out Half-Life. There are many levels that begin to intersect and overlap each other. The first main overlapping area is seen in Black Mesa Inbound, and there are many instances that continue throughout the game. The chapter Surface Tension is probably the biggest offender. I've decided to let the chips fall where they may, but there is still some cleaning up to be done. HalfMapper is a great tool, don't get me wrong, but there were still some areas that could be improved. The tool is supposed to automatically align the maps based on their level transition zones, but some areas never got aligned properly. Like in Lambda Complex, for example, the different levels of the reactor are actually supposed to line up correctly, believe it or not, but in HalfMapper this is not so. This transition at the elevator shaft was never aligned. These alignment failures seem to occur when maps have multiple entrances, like this map for example. Thankfully, I was able to decipher GoldSrc's config language, and I corrected any instances like this. Then there are sections that have multiple ways to be aligned, like the freezer map and the hanging box obstacle. I chose to align these in the manner that created the least amount of overlap, or was the most aesthetically pleasing. Again, ignoring the Zen chapters, Half-Life consists of two main regions, the area before Gordon's capture and the area after. We don't know how far Gordon was taken from the capture point to the trash compactor, but this will be determined once we add Opposing Force into the mix. Then each of these regions can be further divided in half, since Gordon enters a working elevator before Office Complex, and again in Forget About Freeman. We don't know how far up or down these elevators actually go, only that this one goes up and this one goes down. In HalfMapper, these elevators just overlap, which is how the game engine sees it, since the moving elevator is really just an illusion. But to make an authentic map of Black Mesa, we would really need to adjust these sections. Since we don't actually know how far these lifts travel, I took a bit of creative license and stretched these elevator shafts as far as I needed in order to create the least amount of overlapping chaos. Phase 2 begins with Opposing Force, which also consists of two main sections with a brief Zen sequence in between. The first section can also be further divided by an elevator in Friendly Fire. Shepard acquires the Displacer cannon in Zen, so every map during the second half has a displacer teleport destination contained within the map itself. For this reason, we'll see Zen fragments littered throughout the portion of our map, and there wasn't anything I could really do about it. With Opposing Force loaded into HalfMapper and positioned together, we can then align the two sections of Half-Life. The Black Mesa transit system scenes connect Half-Life and Opposing Force's first sections. The Lambda Complex teleporter can then position Half-Life's second, and the hydroelectric dam will tell us where Opposing Force's second section belongs. It gets crazy. Phase 3 is Blueshift, which we know just sort of juts off from the transit system in its own direction. However, this turned out to be nothing but a can of worms. Apparently, Blueshift uses its own variation of the GoldSrc engine that just doesn't play well with HalfMapper. The maps don't automatically join together and instead just render on top of themselves, even when I tried using the Sven co-op conversion maps. For this reason, I was originally going to leave out Blue Shift completely, but realized I would be doing the Half-Life community a big injustice. So I began painstakingly orienting the maps one by one. Then I reached the elevator sequence and found something unusual. The first map after the sequence is rotated 90 degrees to the right. So it's like the elevator magically reorients itself at the bottom of the shaft. A change of orientation did not occur anywhere in Half-Life and Opposing Force, and HalfMapper did not offer any way to remedy this, unfortunately. I figure if the bulk of Blue Shift is facing the wrong direction, it would just go against the spirit of making a map of Black Mesa. So I left the first portion of Blue Shift in the map, but I stopped here. Finally, we have Phase 4, which is Half-Life Decay. Decay will not fit into this project because the entire game basically functions like multiplayer maps without level transitions. For this reason, we don't know where they are in relation to each other. The maps do not begin where the other left off. Even when Rosenberg takes the players to the Hazard Course map, we enter one elevator and exit through a completely different style elevator. We can include the first Decay map, however, as this aligns perfectly below the anti-mass spectrometer. We can also include the Xenotax map, as this links up with the parking garage at the end of Opposing Force, with a shared fence. Bet you didn't know that. Well, there you have it, folks. GoldSrc Black Mesa in all its glory. 5,046,189 total triangles loaded. Yikes. Well, thanks for allowing me to share this journey with you, and I'll include a link to download the config file so you can explore it on your own. Now, if only someone could link these maps together in-game and create a free-roam, open-world Black Mesa game. Thanks for watching, and be sure to press the like button.
Wisely done, Mr. Freeman. I will see you up ahead.